Hello, this is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can reach us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. Today I want to show you a really cool Spirit of the St. Louis telephone, and this is Bruce's telephone from Florida. And Bruce has got a note here that he sent in with a telephone, and it says, "Will not tone dial, speakerphone does not work." And so this is the initial check out of this telephone, and we're going to go ahead and do some checks, and then the telephone is going to have to be troubleshooted. This is what I want to show you here. We do have speakerphone. But we do not have any dialing, as Bruce mentioned in his letter. Now, this telephone does dial in the pulse mode, but it does not dial any other way. So let's go ahead and ring the telephone. We'll let that go a couple times. Turning down the ringer, I want to turn it up. We have our light. I'll turn off the light. We'll turn back on the light. And we have our red light for our speakerphone. And when I pick up the handset, our red light comes on. Now we have dial tone here. I'm going to dial a 2, which it will not dial, but I'm going to go ahead. If you see that light getting brighter on the analyzer, that's 100% modulation. So we know this telephone transmits, it receives, the speakerphone does come on, and it has a volume control that works. We also want to hit flash. We know the flash works, but redial is not going to work. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and have to start taking the telephone apart. I want to reach in here and get the handset cord out. We'll remove that. Kind of give you a look at the telephone itself. These are really cool telephones, highly collectible. So we had to take a short break there, and now what we're going to be doing is we're going to go ahead and take this telephone apart. And there's quite a few screws here that we need to remove. I want to get a look at the circuit board, which we're going to have to troubleshoot. This telephone seems to be in very good condition, and most of them that come in are in very good condition. This board is very difficult to work on. If you've seen some of our other videos of these types of telephones, the board in this telephone is pretty hard to remove, and it's pretty difficult to work on, just for the simple fact that there's a lot of pieces that have to be removed, and the ribbon cable that's in it is difficult to work with because it wants to tear. And in every one of them that we've ever troubleshooted, basically you always have that problem with the ribbon cable tear, and when that happens, you're going to have a lot of other problems. So it's not a simple troubleshoot on these. Got one more here to remove. go ahead and pick up the bottom cover here, set that to the side, and it looks like somebody has done quite a bit of work here to this telephone. We've got transistors on the back side, but since this telephone has these transistors on the back side of the board, means someone tried to repair it, and there's writing for what some of the things are and some of the transistors. So we're going to take a short break and start the troubleshooting process, and we'll kind of move along from there, and we'll do some more video of it as soon as we get back. Okay, we're back now, and so basically a lot of things have happened, and troubleshooting has went on in repair. And so what we did, we also found a bad connection in the transmit on the handset, so we will be taking care of that. But what I really want to explain now is what happened to the PC board here. We've been through the PC board, and I'm going to try to move this a little closer here for you. And all the transistors, we have a couple of them here. We've got one that we removed, and we have another one that we removed, and then we have a component that for some reason was in line with the same component on the board, and it was kind of like they were shooting in the dark to try to figure out what was going on with this telephone, whoever tried to repair it. And what I suspected was it never was the transistors, although it can be the transistors or another component. I always did, after I got everything straightened out from what somebody else had done when they tried to repair this telephone, we definitely wanted to take a look at the tone generator IC, which is located right here. And on these Spirit of the St. Louis telephones, they are very hard to find parts for. You really can't locate the tone generator chip. And so what happens is people are not really willing to give up a telephone like this too often for a decent price so that you can scavenge parts out of it. So it really doesn't make it worthwhile to get a parts telephone unless you get a really good deal on it, and then you still don't know if the tone generator IC is going to work if that's what you need. Now, what happened here was I put a what's called a socket, and that's what you would plug an IC chip in. It's so that you don't have to solder in an IC chip and then desolder it and put another one in every time you want to check a chip to see if it's good. So what we've done here is I had a really close match to the IC chip that is original to this PC board. The problem with it is it does not have the same outputs for the speakerphone option. And so we're using a chip that is under this chip that you're looking at. You might be able to see some of these legs sticking up. We have the replacement IC chip in the socket, and then what we have is the original IC chip to this telephone that's piggybacked and soldered on with the pins that we need onto the replacement IC. And as you can see, some of the legs are up on this side and some of them are up on the other side. And we're just using the original IC chip because it did not any longer have the tone generator functions, and it had the speakerphone option that was still working. So we're using the chip below this chip that you see now for the tone generator functions to dial our numbers in tone, and we're using the top chip that's piggybacked onto it, which is the original chip, for the speakerphone option. And you might think that might sound a little funny, but technicians do this type of thing every day. sometimes you can't get certain chips. And in this case, I don't know how long we'd be looking for this IC chip. Now, there's a fallback to that. The only fallback that you're going to have is on your memory. It's not going to have, like if you try to program in phone numbers in the memory, it will not have that function. It's stuck on 911, so if you hit memory, it'll dial 911. So that's the fallback on that. And if you're in a speakerphone mode and you try to hit the flash button, it'll knock the phone completely out until you pick up the handset and reset the whole circuit. So that's the only two real fallbacks to this. And so we're going to run that by Bruce. And if that's something that he's interested in doing, we can use what we've done here, or we can continue to search for an IC chip, which I don't know when we'd ever find one. We have found them in the past. They're getting very hard to locate, and so I'm not sure when we would get one. You just never know. Could be next week, could be next year. So if these couple of issues with the telephone at this point is a problem with Bruce, then we can always search for that chip, or if he's okay with it, we'll go this route. Now I'm going to do another video. If Bruce says he wants to do this, how we have it designed now, then what I would do is put the telephone totally back together again and do another video as a checkout video. But we're also going to do a checkout video now because I want to show Bruce that the telephone does work. So what we're going to do is, I can't ring the phone and everything. We have all those functions disabled right now. But because the lines have been cut for the switch and everything, so that we could raise the PC board up and troubleshoot it and get the transistors that somebody tried to replace, got them all straightened out. Now we put back in original transistors. We took out some of the aftermarket stuff, and one transistor didn't even cross out, so I don't even know why they were putting that one in there. But we got them all back to normal. It's not an issue that they were on the wrong side of the board. They just weren't the problem, so there was no reason not to go back to the original transistors and put them back into the circuit the way they belong. And if you remember, it was these two transistors on the back side of the board, and then this transistor right here by the IC chip. Now, it very well could have been another problem why it didn't have a tone function, but in this case, it turned out to be the tone generator IC, and that was our problem. So now what we're going to do is do some checks. I'm going to move the video back a little bit, and if you watch the analyzer, what you're going to see here is I'm going to access from underneath the speakerphone. You're going to hear it seize the line. And I'm going to dial our numbers, but I'm doing this upside down. I'm going to hang up. I'm going to hit redial. It's going to end in a 2. I'm going to hang up, and I'm going to do that one more time. I'm going to end in a 2. Hang up. Access the speakerphone again. You notice our LED here is lit, and I'm going to hit redial. Okay, so now I'm going to turn off the speakerphone, and we have a prop in the hook switch, and I'm going to show you dial tone with a handset. There's our dial tone. Now I'm not going to transmit. There's a short in here, in open basically, bad connection, and we're going to repair that. It's somewhat working, but it will not always work. If you see this red light, I'm going to take the red light away, and then I'm going to modulate into the handset. And it is working at this point if you see that red light, but it'll stop working every once in a while. And so what I need to do is go back into this handset and repair that once we get past this point over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and dial our numbers. I'm going to hang up, give you some dial tone. End in a 2. Now, I can use the flash button when I'm on the handset. So we're active right now on the analyzer, and the telephone has the line seized. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the flash, and it's going to hang up the telephone and bring back dial tone. And then I'll walk through my numbers, or I'll hit redial here. And it's going to end in a 2. I'm going to hang up, or I can hit flash from here, and I'll dial through our numbers one more time. End in a 2. And now I want to hang the telephone up, and I want to put our prop underneath. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the telephone over into a regular line, and I'm going to try to access the speakerphone, but I'm dialing from underneath, and I'm going to try to dial a time and temp number. Now that noise you hear there is the time and temperature. They're having a problem with it, and they've been having a problem with it for a couple of days.
February 13th. The time is 11:01. Current temperature 39 degrees.
That noise right there is
2 to 3 inches of snow possible tonight, along with some patchy freezing drizzle. Steady temperature around 30. Tuesday, cloudy in the morning and early afternoon, then partly cloudy, a high around 40.
Okay. That tone that you heard on that recording was basically an issue that they're having with their system on that time and temp number. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit the speakerphone and access the dial tone. I'm going to hit redial.
Good evening. Today is Monday, February 13th. The time is 11:02. Current temperature 39 degrees. 2 to 3 inches of snow possible tonight, along with some patchy freezing drizzle. Steady temperature around 30. Tuesday, cloudy in the morning and early afternoon, then partly cloudy, a high around 40.
Okay. So now we want to bring dial tone on, take dial tone away. So I'm going to give you a little better shot of the tone generator IC so that you kind of see what I'm talking about. And you can probably see the legs that I have pulled up that I did not solder. And like I said earlier, it sounds kind of out of the ordinary, but in the technician's world, it happens every day. Chips are piggybacked all the time. It's not a big issue, but if you're not familiar with electronics really, It's not something that you would normally open up a piece of electronics and see that be done. But I can tell you that it happens every day, and sometimes chips are very hard to come by, and you can't locate them, and when you need to repair an item, this is one way to do it. So I'm going to leave it up to Bruce. He can figure out, whether he wants to go with this type of repair, or if he wants us to try to locate him an IC chip, because at this moment the telephone is basically repaired. Now, it will not have the memory functions. A lot of people don't use the memory functions anyway, but that's Bruce's decision. He can, figure, it's not going to hurt my feelings either one way or the other. But if he'd prefer to just take the chance and have his telephone back and have it work, then we certainly don't have a problem putting it back together again and then doing one last final checkout video so that he feels comfortable with it. And the flash button would not work in the speakerphone option, but the flash button will work with the handset operation. But a lot of people don't use the flash button either. So, the hook switch is right there, and it's just as simple just to hit the hook switch. So, we're really not talking about too much loss. And I actually have worked on a lot of these Spirit of the St. Louis telephones where the memory didn't work anyway. So, and it wasn't a real big issue because most people don't worry too much about the stored phone numbers. But anyway, we'll leave that up to Bruce and whatever he decides. So I'll contact him, send him the video. He can tell me what he wants to do, and we'll go from there. But like I said, this chip is not available. We'd be lucky to find it. We have found some in the past, but it's just far and few between when you find these. And you really wouldn't want to scavenge an IC chip out of a working unit unless that unit was like all tore up and the telephone part worked, and you could scavenge the IC chip. But you're not going to just go anywhere and buy this IC chip. You might get a company that's trying to sell thousands of them, but we don't need thousands of them. And then we wouldn't even know if they were any good anyway. They could have been the chips that didn't make it down the line that some guy got a hold of, and now he's trying to sell them somewhere on an auction house or through some business. And then all of a sudden they want $20 a chip and they want to sell you 2,000 of them. And you don't have any guarantee if they're any good. And then when you get them and they're no good, and you try to contact that company, well, they were selling them for somebody, so they don't have any contact with them. So the only way to really repair this phone is to scavenge a chip out of a working phone, or locate someone who has a couple of them or one of them, and then take a chance and purchase it from a supplier or someone, and then stick it in the telephone and see if it works. So, I'll just leave it at that. But it's not uncommon. We, in the electronics world, we do this kind of stuff all the time. It's just not uncommon to us. But anyway, we'll try to do some more videos of this, and we'll talk to Bruce and see what he wants to do. This is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can reach us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. This is Bruce's telephone from Florida. It's a Spirit of the St. Louis telephone. They're really cool collectors, and they are very hard to find parts for. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.